go ahead and start the recording and hand you off. Hey, Andy, Jamie.
Hey, Scott. Thank you for that intro. And hello, fellow Texan Jamie. How are you?
Good afternoon, good evening. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Thanks everybody out there for joining us today. Hello, Bill, Waleed. Yes, and the whole group. It looks like I see a lot of regulars in here. I also see some new people. And let's get on with it. Yeah, I think we're going to have some good stuff today, just on helping you, especially during the summertime. So, kind of have a little focus on that today. But before we do, let's go over the disclaimer here, guys. Want everybody to know that Jamie and I will be up here doing a little song and dance, but it's only for educational purposes only, okay? Anything you see and hear should not be construed as investment advice. If you are seeking investment advice, you want to find somebody who's licensed in that capacity, whether it be a stockbroker or a registered advisor. But we are going to have some fun. We may talk about some stocks and some charts and things like that. But once again, guys, do not construe it as investment advice. Before we do go on, guys, for the new people in here, we do want to talk about our support, education, and training here at Trade Ideas. It all starts in the Traders Room. If I had to bet, I would say that most of you people in here have been there. If you haven't, you need to get in there because it's free for everyone, and it's moderated by good friend Barry Arnerson, and he does a heck of a job, maintaining, moderating that room, keeping it subdued, and there's a lot of good traders in there, and you'll get some great ideas from the software because he displays the software. You get to look over his shoulder and watch him navigate the market while seeing the software. So just a great place to hang out. Even if you're a brand new trader and you don't know anything, go in there and spend some time, and you'll start to learn, I promise you. We do webinars every day, Monday through Thursday at 5 Eastern time. Myself, Jamie, and Steve Gomez kind of juggle, working in twos to bring you the content on Wednesdays. We have a Q&A and a demo with Dan Merkin and Brad Williams. Great place to come and hang out to ask questions and see the new stuff coming down the pike. And let's not forget, guys, Friday support session. It's every Friday at 11 Eastern time, scheduled for 3 hours. I've noticed in the spring and as we headed into summer, people are trying to kind of getting out early, so sometimes it may only last 2.5 hours, but as long as the questions keep coming, we keep answering them. So get in there. That's a great hangout, guys. Even if you don't have any questions, you're going to learn something. All right, TI University. This is for our new subscribers. Well, anybody can take this. We have people that have been here a year that come back in and take this because it's a very thorough course level of courses that we start with beginners 101 and go all the way to 401. So we cover pretty much everything. Okay, we're going to be adding Brokerage Plus here pretty soon, but man, I tell you what, it's an hour of curriculum each day, and then we open it up for 30 minutes for Q&A. So if you need a little refresher course, or you just don't feel like you know the software as well as you should, go ahead. It's open to any subscribers. You can take it as many times as you want. But you do have to register for it to get an invite. All right, speaking of Brokerage Plus, guys, I want to remind everybody, you're going to see this a lot. A lot of people are going to be using this very cool platform interface to execute trades on, to manage trades. I've never seen anything like it. And yeah, just if you want more information, go to trade-ideas.com/beta, but it's really cool. All right, let's look at the agenda for today, guys. We're going to talk about the market recap, yeah, and nothing really impressive for the bulls in my opinion today after a couple of days of downward momentum and a nice little kind of hammer yesterday, a bottoming tail anyway. I thought the bulls had to be hoping maybe for a bounce back today, and then boy, it just wasn't there. And we'll talk about that in the market recap. Holly recap. We're going to spend some time on Holly today. Unlike the unimpressive market, Holly was very impressive today in a crap market. So we'll talk about some trades there. Jamie will dissect a few. I will talk about one because it was coming through a couple of my tickers, and I think you guys probably know, anybody that has AI Holly, which one I'm referring to. Boy, that was a gift today, and we'll spend some time on that. And then, guys, yeah, like I said, summertime is here, okay, and things can really start to slow down. So I'm going to spend some time talking about how you want to be more careful, especially if the market kind of continues this bearish tape, you know, looking for these long setups, especially in the summertime when volume dries up and you find a lot of traps. And anyway, we'll get to that when we come to it. And then summertime, I'm talking about be more selective and focus on a few, you know. But yeah, I think it's going to be very educational. It's always good, even if you've heard something like this before in the past, to have a little refresher course from somebody. Me and Jamie, who has a combined probably about 40 summer times. So even more than that, probably 45. But all right, let me back out of this and let's pull up the SPY here, and we will talk about it here a little bit. Come here. All right, this is what we're looking at. Let me zoom in a little bit. And guys, you mentioned, you know, I mentioned a while back how I did not like these kind of topping tails as we tried to push higher, you know, not what we see over here as we're moving higher. You got a lot of bottoming tails and closing near highs, bottoming tail there, bottoming tail there. Just the opposite here. You're seeing even the green days, you had some topping tails, sellers coming in, pushing it back down, sellers, ugly day right there with a topping tail. Then we had a nice little bounce, even though most of it was in the close still. That's an impressive looking. I was going to pull up my pen today like Steve does, but I just always forget. I'll remind myself to do that next week for sure. Make a note. But anyway, you know, you had a nice little bounce off the 200-day bottoming tail, something you would like to see with more enthusiasm bounce from. You know, I mean, this was just, I mean, the SPYs I think were up maybe, yeah, 0.26%, nothing to write home about for sure. Tried to move higher. You can see the wick coming back down as it tried to move higher today. Basically finished up as a doji, so a really kind of just a ho-hum day. Nothing, like I said, nothing to write home about, especially after we've had a nice, you know, kind of pullback in the market, followed by a nice bottoming tail yesterday. So we're gonna have to see what happens. I also warn guys, we're gonna have to be more careful if the 10 and the 20 get through this 50, and now it has been done, okay? So now you got these downward sloping shorter time frame moving averages coming down, and if we do any bounce up that we may get, it's going to be met by kind of like what you saw here on the 10-period moving average. Well, now you're going to have the 10, the 20, and then now the 50 could possibly be rolling over here soon. So you know, I'm not real crazy about the market. I'm going to go over a lot of the some alerts, or I should say top lists, that I kind of keep an eye on. One of I've shared with you a couple of these, the green bar reversal and the bottoming tail one, that the top list that I built recently. And yeah, nothing really impressive. Just I'm seeing a lot of selling. In other words, even though the market finished up today marginally, I am seeing a lot of selling. And so we'll have to see, you know, see what happens here. But let's take a look around just in case there's something else happening. I have not even pulled up the Qs. Pretty much the same kind of same thing there in the Qs. Finished up a little more. You got a little bit of a green body there. Diamonds still same thing. Nothing to write home about. IWM, now that's ugly. Just the opposite. Actually finished down on the day. IWM. So this is the one that's kind of been threatening to really sell off here. It's broken through these levels. It's actually holding these levels back over here. If I draw a line right here, this is still resistance, and let's see if it's holding up there. Yeah, still kind of holding that level. So that's probably the only good thing I think the bulls can say. If we do, take out this level with volume and vengeance, it could be an ugly fall there. Same thing can be said about the spiders, which are trying to hold on, but let's see, I have to go back on they are actually below it. I think we talked about this on Tuesday. So if I draw that, they've kind of already broken that level. So just, yeah, there's some damage done, guys, and we'll have to see what happens. I think what you can look out for if we do get maybe a bounce here tomorrow or Monday, watch these levels as they come down. This is kind of a market where I think the prudent trader will, if you do get these moves up into the moving averages, you might be better served by fading them and started looking for some short strategies instead of trying to, chase longs. It's not a time to be chasing longs. But I'll have more to say about that when we talk about the content after the Holly. But Jamie, yeah, just not anything good there as far as I can see,
Oh yeah, and I mean, it sure felt like that too all day.
Yeah.
I mean, we got that seesaw range again, going down, then we're going to get back up, not quite to highs, and take another leg down, then another wiggle back up. So not the smoothest seas to be sailing on.
Exactly. It's well, a lot of times what I'll do, guys, if just kind of get an idea of what the market's doing. Okay, we look back here in January, and I am gonna try to put this into my head real quick, but let's say 250 to 278. So the market is up still, maybe 9% on the year. So let's pull up just a quick alert window real quick, and let's pull up change January 1st percentage, add filter, and let's just put in minimum of 9% and click our show me button and go to the old histogram here. So, of the almost 8,000 stocks, you only have about 3,000 of them there, or anywhere up 9% or more by the calculation I put in there. It'd be interesting to see. Let's take a look to see how many stocks are actually down on the year. Negative 0.01 here, and the max. See, we almost have 2,000 stocks. Okay, and these are in the 4 major exchanges. I mean, we almost have 2,000 stocks that are actually down on the year. So when the major averages are up 9% or 9%. So yeah, that tells me the internals may not all be that great, Jamie. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of what I'm getting to there. But we'll see what happens. And boy, the commodity stocks, oh my gosh, you take a look at X, you take a look at Alcoa, you take a look at FCX. Boy, there's some ugly stuff out there. And let's not forget Deutsche Bank. We've talked about this in the past. I mean, guys, when I see charts like this, a lot of times you're talking foreclosure. I mean, we talked about this over and over in the past, and now, gosh, we're at very dangerous levels. That is not a healthy stock at all.
And it's never been a healthy trading stock because all the action's in the gap. I mean,
exactly.
you look at that, you're like, what in the world am I looking at? You see a few big bars in there. All the rest are gap down, an inchworm, and a 5-10 cent range.
Yeah.
I quickly learned, hey, DB, don't even waste your time most of the time.
Yeah, that's the thing with ADRs. Yeah, they just there's a lot of gaps. They do a lot of their trading before or after. I guess it'd be before, but nonetheless, yeah, I would not be I said foreclosure. I think I meant bankruptcy. I would not be a bit surprised over the next year if DB doesn't BK. But
I would not shed a tear.
Well, and then you got to ask yourself, with that being the broker, the worldwide, broker with the most derivatives by far, you wonder if there's going to be any sort of carryover. What do they call it? Systemic risk, I believe.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
will everyone tolerate another banker bailout? Of course, that's not even I mean, it's a foreign bank, but there
Yeah.
would be, there would definitely be ripple effects for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, I'm not very bullish at all. So with that in mind, first we're going to talk about Holly. Wow. I mean, you look at the market today. Well, I always like to pull this up, and Jamie, if you don't mind, I'll talk about a little bit about high gas, and you can always talk about it too if you want to. But
Oh, by all
uh,
means.
okay. I'm sure there's some other more. There was some good trades in there, not just high gas. But here's what we had a doji. The overall market was very sloppy, back and forth, hard to trade, and yet, boy, look at these numbers. And Holly Neo up 1.28. Only one trade in Holly 2.0, down a quarter. So, smart trader, had a bad opening trade, quit trading. And then only 4 trades in Grail today. That's what I have open on my screen. And you can see there 4 trades and risk on. And the reason the risk on was so strong is because of this beauty right here, and it's high gas. Well, what I want to show you guys, and I'm going to spend some time today, guys, on this Extreme Master Blaster as well once we get through looking at Holly. Jamie will break down all the 3 Hollies here in just a second, but I want to talk about double confirmation. So, wow, look what we had here in this Master Blaster that looks for momentum stocks on strong volume, okay? So if you look at the time here that high gas came out, 9:04. If you were running oh geez, 9:42. This thing has been kind of wonky today. I saw this thing at 9:40 in here earlier. All right, well, anyway, let's say Holly, yeah, this thing is kind of jacked a little bit. But anyway, when you see double confirmation like that, Holly, the trade goes off at 9:04 at a price of 10.50, 10.95, okay? And you're looking here, you see it coming through earlier before that, high gas coming through Master Blaster, and yeah, and that's what I'm looking for right here is the same. There you go. There it is right there. I'm sorry. So yeah, you had it coming through Master Blaster, and Holly pinpointed it. And not only that, guys, this is a beautiful little, what we call a go, pause, go, okay? I would much rather get what's called a go, pause, go, a stock moved, and then kind of, we always talk about this, it's a day of rest. You have bulls and bears kind of fighting back and forth, and you don't get any action. It goes nowhere, and then the next day you have a go, you get another go, okay? See why I kind of cringe when I see these sometimes. You had a big move yesterday, even though it ended up putting in a kind of a green body. This one, I seldom would chase things like that after the day it had yesterday. I usually, you're going to have sellers come in here, it's going to pull back. Not always, not always. Obviously, we saw this one today act pretty good. The what were they all trading in the room there? There you go. This one. But even still, it gave, at the end of the day, it still gave it back and closed below yesterday's high. So, but this go, pause, go pattern that we saw here that Holly pegged right there was just a beauty. And you can see there, and the risk off was target hit. She hit the target, and then it kept going for another, geez, what was that? Another 50 cents plus. So nice one there for Holly there, Jamie. I was proud of that. And then that wasn't the only. There's several good ones in this. Like I said, it was a tough day.
Yeah, it was, and it's just, I mean, what you're seeing with Holly today is kind of the epitome of what a lot of traders experience. Yeah, she made 14 trades. most of the bread came from one trade, then you had 2 or 3 additional smaller winners, and that was the whole day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Well, Jamie, if you want to take it over, or I can pass it to you, and you can dissect a few more or break them down better
I
for us.
got it. I got
All
it.
right.
So I got Holly 1.0 up here. Of course, in the middle here, we got 2.0 with her one big trade. And then down here, we've got Neo. So once again, 14 trades, and let's see, about $1.15 there. So what do we got? About 230-ish, all right, between the three. And on that trade count, that's not too shabby. You know, even if you were running Holly on, you know, automatic mode today, you probably had a chance of making some pretty good cheese. Of course, look at Neo. Neo, who's typically the most aggressive of the 3 modules, coming in at risk off today, $1.28 on 9 trades. So we've got a couple of examples here of risk off. We've got one that's a short in BNDA, and then we've got, where'd that other one go? Oh yeah, one for 18 cents here in Tibio. So once again, nothing to, you know, shout from the rafters here, but still good examples of risk on and how we might be able to capture some of that spread here. So let's just take a look at this one. What do we have here? A 14-cent spread in between 24 and 38 cents. Nothing huge, but a pretty big percentage value, so to speak. This one just happened to be VNDA short. So up here we see a nice entry right here with Holly in the blue line. Now, what I like about this entry right off the bat is check out the fast line. Check out the 10-period SMA on this 15-minute intraday. We're getting it right here, right below that line, and coincidentally, that bar tends to close below the fast line, which is always a good thing. You know, shorts want this line on top, longs we want it on the bottom, acting as that guiding hand, and then we just get, hey, we get the trade that everybody likes. Immediate gratification, bam, 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 just right on down the line there. Not any pain, never getting even back above the entry line here. So looking at the spread here, 24 versus 38, Holly closes the trade out right about here. I'll just put a little arrow there. So Holly gets out about right here. Why did she get out? Timed exit, as we can see, all of these did. 1, 2, 3, 4, all exiting on the timed exit for 24 cents. Now, the good thing about this one is that we can use the break-even stop, right? Hey, let's go ahead and peel off half. Let's keep the other half, use that break-even stop. We had to sit a little bit of a wiggle, but look, back up to the fast line, then it taps it right back down again. So coming into the close, 38 cents versus 24, extra 14 cents there. And while it's not a huge dollar value on a percentage value, that's pretty significant there. Another 14 cents on top of the 24. So nice and easy, everything behaving properly with this one, the 10 period keeping it tapped down and being able to use that break-even stop into the close is always nice. So the other one here was Tibio. This one was a long trade. So here we go with the entry right here. Pretty tame action today. I can't tell you how many stocks I saw doing this after the first hour, hour and a half. But we get that nice entry here. Holly closes it out somewhere right around here. What she book? A 2-cent winner. So she basically got out right before we see this wick right back down here to the entry line. Closes it out once again on a timed hold. Excuse me there. But after Holly gets out, as soon as that next candle forms, look, same theme. Break even stop would have kept you in for the remainder of the day. We got that fast line 10 acting as that guiding hand, keeping it propped up. So pretty big difference here between 2 cents and 20 cents. All we had to do once Holly exited is make the decision, use break even as a stop, and it would have kept us in. So on both of these examples today on the Vinda, we got break even stop keeping us in for the second part of the run, and we got the same on the long Tibio. After Holly closes it out, that break even stop doing its job today. But you can see not really any additional risk on to be had out of this since this module finished in risk off mode. Not a whole lot to talk about with 2.0. She tried 1, didn't work. And that was the only song and dance that 2.0 had to sing today. Now, technically, in ARRY, we do have a nickel of spread, but you know, how much can I comment on this one? You know, Holly makes the entry here. What'd she pull on this one? Yeah, 6 cents later, she closes the trade out. This one, you know, ARRY is a biotech stock. I've been in and out of this stock a few times myself over the past months. It's a gnarly one, and the volume in it wasn't high today. Usually the volume is kicking, but you know, trying to milk this one, the short up here, you know, look at what it did down here if you were able to stick with your original stop. And anytime I'm in a biotech stock, that's probably not a bad rule of thumb, unless we're way under the line here on a short, and it looks like there's no way it's going to get back up there. You know, it just pretty much hugged the line for the rest of the day, gave it a little capitulation here, but didn't stay down here very long. So 27.38 and a bottom of 26.93, you know, 40 cents maximum in ARRY. Nothing to sneeze at, but not a whole lot for what this stock usually gives out when it's going up or down. Other than that, I will agree with what Andy said earlier. It's not feeling like a very bullish market right now. One more comment I'll make before I kick it back over to you, Andy, is these windows right here, especially the Turbo Web family, no resistance, usually right on the open, bam, 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 bam. We've got maybe 2 or 3, anywhere between 2 and 6 stocks that are going to be the runners for the day. But you might remember me saying early in the session, Andy, I'm like, it's dead quiet over here, right? And then we finally had a few squeak out, but nothing like what we're used to. A lot more coming through the downside action. Starting to see some big cap stocks break these all-time lows, you know, like Kraft Heinz. I mean, come on. I mean, typically one of the more defensive stocks out there, but look what it's doing right now in the daily. I mean, it's
pretty ugly.
Of course, that's the weekly right there, but it's circling. You know, it's in the abyss on the daily as well, and a lot more stocks starting to come through these windows. Not so many greens, have a lot of yellows, you know, which are the lower caps, but some of these things are tradable here lately with good liquidity and, you know, tight spreads. So as I was talking about with the boys earlier, you know, here we are creeping into, you know, we start in June after tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day of May. So come Monday, we're going to be into June. So it's going to be interesting. You know, we've been talking about how the summers are not the tame summers of yesteryear. And, you know, here we are starting the summer with some clear weakness in the market. So do we bounce or do we head lower? We've all got front row seats.
Yep, that we do. By the way, Jamie, before you flip it over here to me, how impressive is that in NEO on risk off to have 9 trades in risk off mode? You only had 1 loser and it was 7 cents. That's hard to do.
Yep.
It's hard to do.
It is, and we rarely see this type of performance in risk off mode. But yeah, 1 loser. I mean, incredible. Out of 9 trades. Hell, if I could win 8 out of 9 all the time, you probably wouldn't hear from me much anymore. I'd just be sitting here printing that cash. But hey, you know.
And that's the way Holly does it. I remember being in here 2 days ago with Steve going over Holly, and there just wasn't a whole lot to talk about. You know, it was a ho-hum day, just a lot of, you know, few wins, few losses. I think she finished down overall, but not, you know, but, and then here we are 2 days later, and I thought she did just incredibly well. And that's the way it happens.
I love the low trade counts. I love the low trade counts. Those are my favorite days. I need to be more aware of that moving forward because, I mean, I wasn't in Higgs today. I should have been, but I just missed it.
Yep, I know.
All right,
guys. Well, yeah, righty. Send it over. All right. Let me see. Make sure I cover everything here. Yeah, careful with long setups in a bearish tape. Now, I am not saying we are in a bear market, okay? But the price action is bearish right now, and it has been. And we look at the spiders, it has been you know, for the last week anyway, it's been very bearish. You can see a lot of red bars breaking through, like I said, some moving averages, trying to get through the 200. There hasn't been a lot of, you know, bullish tape. And when it gets like this, guys, you really got to be careful, you know, if you're using the TI windows to create strategies. And I'm going to talk about the one I have here. We're going to go through a few trades here. This is the pullback above 50 SMA Pro that I like to use sometimes for swing trading. But, you know, it's one thing when you're looking at maybe this, let me just zoom out, I should say. You know, if you're in a nice uptrend and you're getting these little pockets right here where the market's kind of pulling back, staying above their averages, okay, I am more apt to be looking for these setups in price action like this. Here's another example, pulling back, you know, finding some, you know, footing here, leveling off right at its moving averages. Kind of same thing could be said about right here. And then we had a pretty big dip. More than likely, this didn't perform all that great right there, but those are the kind of short kind of pullbacks where I think this can be a lot more effective. Now, we are coming to a point where, and I'm not saying you're still going to see some nice trades in here, but you got to be much more selective, and when you're wrong, you got to cut them and move on. Okay, don't get married to these things, because now things look a little bit different. Okay, basically, boy, Jamie, selling may go away, huh? Yeah, that's what people have been doing. So now,
and 50% of the time, that works every time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good way to put it. So now, what I just want to say, guys, is when the price action gets bearish, okay, you may fall into a lot of these things, and I'm going to show you some here today. You know, you just got to be careful, especially in the first 15 minutes. You're going to see an ebook coming out, and I write a few chapters on this window and talking about, you know, how I like to trade it and all that. But there's a time to trade it and there's a time not to. Okay, and a time not to is when when you're in a bearish tape, bearish price action. Be careful. Okay, you can still take a swing every now and then, but you know, listen to your rules. With that being said, I think you're going to go in here and we're going to look at some of these. Now I have it by composite rating here. Let's just put it something neutral, something like, we'll stick it on relative volume. Now I have this set for use historical date. I'm going back to the close yesterday. So when I came in this morning, these are the symbols that would have been in here, okay? These are stocks that had a pullback on the 5-day time frame, but closed in the upper 25% yesterday of their bar. Now, this is going to be the best one you see on this thing for sure. Groupon was a beautiful one today, and opened up, triggered, and never really looked back. Beautiful day there in not Groupon, global payments. Sorry about that. Eric's a ADR. Dale, there's one. Yeah, looked good for a while, gapped up, ran, kind of pulled back. I wouldn't be all that comfortable, although it'd still be in the action there. SRC, yeah, another one, you know, nice little hammer yesterday, took off, everything looked good, but look for the rest of the day, selling. That's what you're seeing. These things aren't continuing like they can sometimes. You're seeing the sellers come in. I think this was a good one. Now, nothing wrong with that one right there, setting up pretty good. Ugly, look at that. You got your trigger early this morning. This is why I say be careful in the first 30 minutes, 15, 30 minutes. Sold off the rest of the day. This is the kind of action you see a lot of times, guys, and you have to be careful when you're playing these things. That one went up barely. Hershey is kind of a defensive play, so it actually had a pretty good day. Not bad there for Hershey. Ugly. Western Union, yeah. Triggered and slop, sold off. A lot of financials look like this. A lot of financials you're going to see in here that did not work, probably because of Deutsche Bank, Mondelez. Once again, I would be very nervous in a lot of these. There's another one. You'd be underwater, but you wouldn't be stopped out. Another one. So you see what I'm talking about, guys? I'm just not seeing. There's another one. I can go on and on again. Okay, this is normally a pretty nice little setup, guys, for stocks that have pulled back and can give you a really good entry. But now you're seeing a lot of them just not working. And I would say, Kinder Morgan, now I wouldn't be too excited of any energy stock. Chubb, gosh, there's so many of these. There's one after another. So these financials are the worst. Look at that thing. Whoops. Look at that, open and just, man. So be careful. And I just want to say there's a time to put these in play, all right? And when I start seeing these things, it just kind of confirms to me that I am not bullish on this market when I see a lot of things that are not following through. Another example is I built these the other day and shared with everybody in here. These are from our daily symbol list that you have access to. This is called green bar reversal. It's a very simple setup, okay? Just a few filters, and there you have it. And what it's doing, it finds green bar reversals. That was a beauty right there, boom. But I can just put it on position in range right here, okay? I'm not gonna go through each one of these like I did on that other one to show you. These are stocks that had a green bar. In other words, they had been selling off for 3 days, had a green bar reversal day yesterday. In other words, put in a green bar. So a lot of times the price action will continue off this, like you see in a few of these ones at the top. It's an interesting one there. This one was a beauty. I think that was earnings. No, that wasn't earnings. But look here, look at the position in range today. This is today's range. Look how many stocks closed near highs or even up on the day versus look at all these ones that finished basically down on the day or in their lower part of their range. There's a lot of stuff that even after a big sell-off and putting in a green bar, they just continued lower. And I could go time one after another and show you these things. So even in these stocks that are kind of been beat up for a while, you're seeing continued carnage. Same thing can be said. I'm not going to go through these bottoming tails. We'll just look at the daily range there. Same thing. Look how many of them finished. Even though the spiders finished kind of marginally up, a lot of these things just, even after bottoming tail, just went lower. And you can see the position in previous days range right here too. Look at all this. Just took below yesterday's low after the bottoming tail. So that just tells me when I see a lot of things like this, that be prepared. I don't think the selling's over, but we will see. Summertime is here, guys, and you have to be more selective and you have to focus on a few things, okay? And really, some of the best traders I know, they will take long hiatuses during the summertime, just get away, refresh. Unfortunately, not every trader can do that. They're trying to pound out a living. But if you are going to trade in the summer when things has a tendency to slow down, especially when you get around, you know, August, late July and August, it gets really, really slow. Have a focus. And one of the things I'm going to share, if you guys don't have it, I'm going to share this Extreme Master Blaster with you. And I'm going to go over it. It's a multi-strategy window. And basically all I've done is a lot of people were coming in and asking us if we had Ross Cameron's, you know, Momo scanner, you know. No, we don't. But you know what? I can put something together for you that's going to really be efficient. So what I've done is it's multi-strategy. And basically I used extreme volume, $2 to $10, extreme volume over $10, extreme volume low float. They're color coordinated. You can see them there. Extreme volume 52-week high, extreme volume all-time high in dark blue. All right, and we'll take a look at one of these configurations, and it's very similar, guys, to my extreme volume high-low pro. I'm looking for change from the close to be up 1%, just like this. Relative volume has to be doing at least 1.5. Volume in the 5-minute time frame, 700%. Okay, so over here it's 1,000%. I don't have it cranked up quite so high. Sometimes I want to catch these early, maybe when they're not doing the volume. And some of these will adjust, you know, when you get into the low floaters. I think I may come down to 500% or something like that. But for the most part, I'm looking for, you know, stocks that are kind of on the move and doing volume. Yeah, Waleed, extreme carnage. Yeah, I'll have to talk about that. I'll talk about that next week for sure. But today, I mean, you kind of had a seesaw day. We talked about it in the spiders, back and forth. But I want to show you just in this window, every trade that came through today. And there wasn't a whole lot, all right? But if you're just focusing on one alert, you're looking for action, looking for volume, all right, you're going to find it, okay? The first thing that came through today was ViV, you know, obviously earnings, all-time high, very impressive. Of course, if you didn't catch the first 45 minutes of the day, you basically just flatted this and went sideways all day because it had a pretty big gap up. Dollar General, another earnings play. Once again, same story. You know, sometimes these big gap ups, guys, they can be very tough to trade, and I understand that. But still, no pain. You never would have lost any money on it. And of course, we know high gas. And I'm just going right through these guys and taking a look at some of these trades that came through here. CY, the next one. Okay. Okay, what's the red flag here, guys, if you're trading? And I talk about this in 301 when I go over the red resistance bar. If you see this alert come through and you look up and you see a red line, back off. Look what happened today. This thing, first 15 minutes, took off. Already had a big move, so I'm already leery about that. But look right here. You saw a red line. Look what happened once it tagged that red line. And if you zoom out on CY, you're going to see going back almost a year ago, 10 months ago, there's major resistance. And that's what happened today in CY. Now, made a nice little comeback. You may want to come in here and put you a price alert above there if it ever gets through again. But be careful. There's Dollar General, ViV again. Let's take a look at this WPRP. Yeah, that one hit resistance. You can see where it hit it, backed off, but then look what happened. Went through. Kind of a tough one, but I mean, that would have been a tough one to trade. A lot of times if I see that resistance, I'll just kind of back away anyway. I don't want to be dealing with that. Another one had a little, once again, resistance though, you know, had a little move there, but ran into resistance. There's ViV, and let's see what else we had coming through there. Oh, look here, ELTK. What a nice one that was. But man, that was gnarly. You had to be watching this one after yesterday. That's one I would rather catch early, maybe down here. I think high gas by far was the best one. But you see not a whole lot of things coming through here. Now you got to be careful when you start getting a little bit later in the day. That's an ETF right there, but ran right into the resistance line. When you get later in the day, guys, you got to be careful. You might catch some, but for the most part, it's going to get real sloppy. You like to catch these kind of somewhat early in the morning. Oh, that's interesting. But what I want to talk about here, guys, is it could get tough, you know. And if you need to have a focus, something to keep you away. Whether you're looking for momentum, whether you're you have a style where you're looking to fade. A good fading strategy works good sometimes in the summer. Just chasing kind of random stocks, that are in no man's land. You really got to be careful because you can really get whipsawed back and forth and just get chopped up. So my advice, when it comes to trading in the summer, guys, you really want to slow it down. You want to focus. You want to focus maybe on one or two alerts. Try to let me share this in case for somebody that doesn't have this, because it's not in our channel 4. I need to get it in there. So
yeah, and Andy, Stan was asking, is the resistance bar only on premium? And I'm assuming he's referring to the red line.
Yeah, no,
up there. Yeah.
No, it's not on premium, Stan, but you have to be using a new, like Jamie put in there, you have to be using a new high alert. If you're using it, you will see it. Now be careful, because I had somebody saying the other day it's not working. What happens once it gets through that resistance line? If there's no more resistance and you're clicking on them and you're not seeing anything, it's because there's no more resistance. Let me share this real quick. Master Blaster.
Hey, Andy, you dropped out on us there for a split second.
Oh, okay. Well, I was saying I'm sharing Master Blaster, and did you catch the part of where I was telling Stan, and I think you dropped it in there as well, that he has to be using a new high alert?
We got that.
Okay. Okay. All right. So Extreme Master Blaster is in there, guys, and can everybody hear me okay now?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just a little neck congestion there. He just dropped out for a split second.
Okay. All right, good. So, and a lot of these things came through the Extreme Volume High-Low Pro as well. I don't know if high gas came through there. It probably, for some reason, did not. I don't think it did. Let me see what's up with high gas, why it would not have come through here. I'll have to look into it. It's sure it's some sort of filter. And I see what it is. Average daily volume. It only does 117,000 shares a day. I don't have it probably as tight on the low floaters. I don't. Yeah. Oh, you don't see Master Blaster in there? Do you guys see it? Let's see. Maybe I didn't hit. There we go. Sorry about that. There you go, Waleed. Gregory.
Yep, it's in there now.
All right. Yep, I forgot to hit enter. I got wigging out about my audio. All right, so guys, I'm pretty much finished. We do have some time left. If anybody wants to look at some charts, you got a symbol you want to look at, I'll be happy to take a look at anything that you might want to drop in there. But Jamie, unless you have something to add, we only go, see, we've got about 10 minutes left, but not really 5 minutes left. So if anybody has any charts, I will tackle them. Me and Jamie will try to make sense of them for you. But if not, we'll probably just bring Scott back in to walk us out of here. You too, Waleed. Yes, have a great afternoon. And you guys don't forget, let's see, first time on TR web page, you guys always trade based off. Matthew, good question. He says, do we always trade based on 15-minute charts? I tell you something, I do now just because I really only do swing trading. I don't day trade like I used to. When I day traded, what I would do is I liked having a 5-minute chart, like the first 30 minutes of the day. And I'm sorry, I put, let's just put a symbol back in there. And what I would do would just have like a 5-minute, maybe the first 30 minutes of the day. And then after that, I would switch to a 15-minute chart. But for the most part, I think Jamie, when he does his webinars, he sometimes has a 5-minute chart up there when he's looking at some of the Holly stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of a general rule of thumb is when the market first opens, if you're sitting there looking at 15-minute candles, you're just going to have one candle going up and down there for 15 minutes, and that's fine if that's your speed. But a lot of the time, some of these bigger moves come in that opening 15-minute flurry. Of course, there's more risk there, so I typically use the smaller time frames, in the first hour, and then flip over to the 15-minute after the second hour, just so we can have some smooth charts to look at. Whether you start off watching the ones and go to fives, or start off with fives and go to the 15s, it's really just a personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of noise on those 1-minute time frames.
Yep. And also, Matthew, yeah, I agree with Jamie. Those 1 minute, you're in the high frequency trading playground on those 1-minute time frames. I know some people out there do it, and there's probably a few that do it very well. But I think if people would broaden their time hold time out, they would trade much better. It's really hard in those 1-minute time frames, but to each his own. It's subjective. So if it's something that you like, that's fine. I prefer, a minimum of 5 minutes. So, all right. Mir asked about Soli. Well, obviously, we all know the first couple of days there, it started out at around 570, and man, it went a long ways. And then look at these topping tails. People are selling. People now, when it's running up, people are selling. What I would probably kind of look at maybe is if it come down, to this area, will it hold? Now you can see that's kind of where it kind of close to that day, and that's the level of was resistance right here, got above it. So it looks like it may eventually have a date with this gap. I don't see anything redeeming right now as far as the last 2 days go. Okay, a lot of wicks to the upside, so you better be careful if you get another one chasing that. You may want to see if it can come back and test it. What happens if it fills this gap? But yeah, after the move and seeing a couple of wicks like that to the upside, it makes me a little nervous. Maybe want to see it come down and see if it can settle, maybe build a base and then go from there.
Tattoo removal.
Yep.
That's their shtick.
Tattoo removal. Yep.
Which, Lord knows, there's a lot of.
Yeah.
It's a big market.
All right. NEO. Yeah. Oh boy, that's first of all, the Chinese is just getting, anything China is just getting, destroyed. Especially all these new issues. Take a look at Tiger. Death March. I could go even some of the big names, Baba, which I thought had some pretty decent earnings. Look at that. They actually gapped up right here, I think, after earnings, moved up, and boy, it's just trade wars are really killing China right now, and anything China, including NEO, well, that's a startup, electric cars, kind of like Tesla's. Not seeing anything there, really. It's just that's in a death spiral, not even a march, a spiral. And yeah, there's just nothing there. I mean, all you can really do is, maybe if it can get back above, reclaim this $4, it can build off that, get above a couple of these averages. But boy, you always want these issues to stay above $5. Once they get below $5, first of all, a lot of your funds cannot be in them, mutual funds. So yeah, there's just nothing there right now. I would not waste my time on trying to guess. It's just all you'd be doing is catching a falling knife and guessing. All right. Looks like we wrapped up, guys. No more chart requests. So I'm going to bring Scott in here, guys, and he's going to walk us out. Scott, if you want to come back in, I will put back up this, and you guys hang on. He'll have a code for you guys.
Yeah, it sounds good. A couple things before we get to the code. There's an ebook that's been out for a little while. It's a very useful one. Both Andy and Jamie contributed chapters. If you don't have it yet, grab a copy. trade-ideas.com/ebook. Just put in your email address to get the download. And we've also got a podcast. Should have a new episode up tomorrow. Just search for Trade Ideas Podcast in your podcast app. Add it as a subscription, and presto, you'll get the new one. You can also check out the back issues. The code that's good until this time next week. Holly May, all caps, saves 15% off the first month or year of any subscription. You can also use it to add Brokerage Plus, and those of you on standard can use it to upgrade to premium. Just use that from your account management section of the website when you're changing your subscription type. And any questions, email info@trade-ideas.com. Follow Jamie on Twitter @QuantBot. Follow Steve Gomez @TodayTrader. Follow us at Trade Ideas, facebook.com/Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook page. And again, all support questions to the info@ email address. We're going to have this recording up later on tonight or tomorrow, and you get an email reminder tomorrow from GoToWebinar with a link to the playlist. Thanks all. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Jamie. Have a good one.